A truly fantastic day's racing awaits us from Turpentine on Saturday, the 27th of November, when World Sports Betting presents the Gauteng Summer Cup, Grade 1 over 2,000 meters, the 8th race on the card, the 8th of 10 races. The first race at Turpentine goes off at 11:35. I'm joined by Rahil. We're going to have a quick look at the World Sports Betting Summer Cup. We'll also have a look at the two Grade 2 races on the card, and then perhaps, if we have the time, venture a quick selection for the two Grade 3 races on the card. But Rahil, let's start with the World Sports Betting Gauteng Summer Cup. It's a narrower range of weights this year. The 6 kilogram range of weights has been enforced. That is certainly in the favor of number 1, Got the Green Light, number 2, Malmoose, and number 3, War of Athena. These are the only three quoted in the anti-post betting at single figures. The rest are all at 12 to 1 and longer. And before I get a comment from you, I was tuned in to Joe Sommer with Andrew Harrison and Warren Lenferner. Joe Sommer was the guest in the box seat yesterday, and you can catch that in the box seat show on our YouTube channel. He was very confident that he's got number 1, Got the Green Light, in a very good space. But he did make mention that this year's running of the Summer Cup is quite unusual, or quite unique, in the sense that we've got the Triple Crown winner in the form of number 2, Malmoose, and the Triple Tiara winner in the form of number 3, War of Athena, in the race. So the race is certainly a stronger renewal than it has been for many a year. But those three horses at the weights do look to dominate. Of the three, I prefer number 3, War of Athena. My roughie for the race, and I've mentioned this on many an occasion when chatting to Neil Andrews and Nico Kritsiotis on the Clocking the Gallop program, is number 8, Puerto Manzana. I'm obviously very disappointed that he's drawn 17. I was quite strong on him going into the race, but obviously the 17 draw is a little bit of a put-off, particularly with Malmoose drawn 1 and War of Athena drawn 5. But what do you make of the race? Your selections very quickly.
Yeah, it's a very trappy race, and there's quite a few horses that have outstanding chances in this race. The top 3 in the market, Got the Green Light, Malmoose, and War of Athena. They are exceptional horses and have done really, really well. Malmoose and War of Athena, lucky to have the benefit of good draws. The other horses with form in the race do have to settle for worse draws. I like Puerto Manzano's stable companion, second base. He's another horse that drawn out in 15. But I just think last time out, he was given a sort of a soft ride, and the handicapper dropped him 3 points for that run. And I think he comes in well in of a rating of 117 and only 55 on his back. He's been beaten by Malmoose 3 times, but on 2 of those occasions, he does have Malmoose held at the weights. The time that Malmoose did get the better of him and isn't well off was over the 2-4. And I think that trip just stretched him a bit. So I'm expecting a massive run from second base. Is some nice value at 12 to 1. The filly in the race that I do quite like is Sparkling Water. Now, she won her last 2 starts, and she stayed on a rating of a 109. Also, another horse that has a terrible draw to overcome, but I think that Mike de Kock has his string in some good form, and Sparkling Water is a really nice backup horse to Malmoose in this race, and offers some really nice value at 25 to 1. And the horse below Sparkling Flame, Flying Carpet, well drawn in gate 4 at around 33 to 1 in the betting market. I think that he's another horse that offers some nice value. He's a horse that's going to be running on at the business end. So those would be my top 3 in this race. But it's a very tricky race, and any of the top 3 in the betting market could well win this easily.
Well, the winner seems likely to come from one of Got the Green Light, Malmoose, or War of Athena. It'll be a little bit of an upset if anything else were to win it. Sparkling Water, you've mentioned, obviously not in her favor that she's drawn 19. Obviously not in Puerto Manzana's favor that he's drawn 17. Those are the 2 roughies that you and I like. I also give Flying Carpet a little bit of a chance on its best earlier form. One last question regarding the World Sports Summer Cup. El Nathana?
I just feel that Malmoose could have his beating, and a few others could have his beating as well. He's a horse that has sort of turned the corner since returning from the rest. Samango Kumalo has gotten on well with him for 2 wins. He's also drawn wide in 14. I just feel he's going to have a bit to do in this lineup. He tries a trip for the first time, which may just stretch him based on his last performance, but Mike de Kock has his string in some really good form, so I wouldn't be discounting Almutana's chances in this race, but I just prefer a few others.
Okay, so perhaps the World Sports Betting Gauteng Summer Cup is a race that you're inclined to narrow down to the top 3 in the betting. You would certainly have a bright chance of getting through by just including Got the Green Light, who Joey says is in very good shape and in very good form. Obviously, Malmoose and War of Athena, the Triple Crown winner and the Triple Tiara winner, respectively. But the Gauteng Summer Cup, brought to us by World Sports Betting, has often been known to throw up a little bit of an upset. Not so when Summer Pudding carried top weight to victory recently. So if you fancy one or two outsiders, there are many with chances. Certainly don't be hesitant to include them. The Pick 6 carryover is 3 million rands. We're expecting the Pick 6 pool to reach 12 million rands. And on the World Sports Betting Gauteng Summer Cup, the quartet starts with a 2 million rand carryover, and the likely pool for the quartet is 4 million rand. So that's certainly a quartet that you want to catch. And I'm certainly, despite his wide draw, going to be staying with Puerto Manzana as the one of the outsiders that I'm going to throw into the quartets, but you've also heard from Rahil what he thinks. But with the Pick 6 being such a massive pool, 12 million rands is what we're expecting. Obviously, it doesn't only rest on what the outcome of the World Sports Betting Gauteng Summer Cup is going to be. Let's have a look at the 2 Grade 2 races quickly. The World Sports Betting Dingons for 3-year-olds is race 6 on the card. It's off at 14.25 over 1,600 meters. And again, listening to what Joe Soma had to say, he's inclined to run his horse number 10, Red Saxon, who's only had the 2 starts, winning a maiden last time impressively. He made the comment to Warren and Andrew that he wouldn't normally step a horse up from a maiden into a Group 2 directly. But when you go through this field, there are no stakes winners in the race. It's probably not the strongest renewal of the Dingons that we've had in recent times. And he felt that it was in some shape or form a glorified sort of graduation plate, and he would take his chances with number 10, Red Saxon. But I do like the chances of number 1, Pyromaniac, and number 2, Safe Passage. They both come into the race on the up with good form. The same comment applies to number 3, Super Excited. But I'm keen to hear your views.
Yes, Paul Peter will be looking to maintain this race. Last year, he did saddle the Exacta in the form of Catch 22 and MK's Pride. But this year, I think that it could go the way of Sean Terry, Paul Matchett, or even Joey Soma for that matter. I do like Pyromaniac, Super Excited, and the 10 of Red Saxon. Red Saxon, I think he offers some really nice value. I saw him around 16 to 1 in the betting market. The further he goes, the better for him. Goes over the 1600 once again. I think that he's going to be a horse that's going to be doing his best work at the finish and will be in the firing line. Super Excited, such a consistent sort. Muzieni gets on well with him. He's never missed the first 2 from his 6 starts. 3 wins, 3 seconds. The time of his last run was quite encouraging. There were 4 races run over the 1400 at the Val, and his time topped all of that. So I think Super Exciting. He's going to love the step up in trip, and he'll be right there at the finish. Then Pyromaniac just found 1 too good in the form of Desert Miracle last time out, who does seem to be a superstar in the making. He's another horse that's going to love the step up in trip and should go close in this race, but there you could make a case for quite a few others.
Well, certainly on official handicappers' ratings, and it's very early in their careers, number 1, Pyromaniac, is best in at the weights. Of course, this is a set weight race, the Dingons. It's a semi-classic for 3-year-olds. The bet you're going to want to focus on is the trifecta. We've got a 200,000 rand carryover to the trifecta for race 6 on the card, the World Sports Betting Dingons. So the trifecta is the race you want to bet on, and perhaps the key horses are 1, Pyromaniac, 2, Safe Passage, and 3, Super Excited. But Joe Soma did express some confidence around number 10, Red Saxon, possibly being equal to the task. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Castletown and a host of other 3-year-olds who stand on the thresholds of their exciting careers. Now moving on to race 7, which is the next Grade 2 race, which is the World Sports Betting Epitome Challenge over 1,600 meters. And again, I want to refer to the betting menu. Race 7 is the first leg of the second jackpot. We've got a 400,000 rand carryover going into jackpot 2, which starts in race 7 with the Epitome Challenge, which is for fillies and mares over 1,600 meters. And it presents us with an exciting clash, Rahil, between the champion 2-year-old of last year, number 8, Rain in Holland, and the fast improving number 9, Perfect Witness. I must be honest, I'm in the camp of number 8, Rain in Holland. I thought she was far from disgraced on her seasonal debut behind War of Athena, when running on very strongly over the 1,400 meters. She takes some riding, does Rain in Holland, as we saw on Gold Cup Day here. There was an inspired ride from Lyle Hewitson to get up to win the Grade 1 for the 2-year-olds. She does take some riding. This is her second run after a rest. There are possibly a few negatives that against her, but with a cut in the ground, almost certain. There's been a lot of rain around in Johannesburg. I think the going will suit her. I think ultimately she wants 2,000 meters, but I'm in the camp of Rain in Holland.
Yes, I do make this a 2-horse race between Rain in Holland and Perfect Witness, but I'm in the camp of Perfect Witness in this race. She received 2 kilograms from Rain in Holland. She was beaten by Rain in Holland on Gold Cup Day when Lyle Hewitson just got Rain in Holland to lift. So she's 2 kgs better off for 2 3/4 length beating. I think that with the racing fitness on her side, she's improving nicely, unbeaten over the course and distance. I think that Perfect Witness could get the better of Rain in Holland in this race. For me, Rain in Holland was a tad disappointing. She received 10 kgs from War of Athena, but didn't seem to fire last time out. She may have just needed the run a bit, and it was over the 1,400. And as you mentioned, she may be looking for 2,000 ultimately. So that run just concerns me a bit, but it's definitely a 2-horse race for me, and I'd be surprised if the winner were to come from beyond those two in the betting market.
Okay, so 2-horse race in the Epitome Challenge as far as Rahil is concerned, and he's probably spot on the button, but I certainly hope that Rain in Holland will get back to winning ways. But the pick 6 is not easy. Yes, we have a 12 million rand pool. It opens with 2 Grade 3 races. The first leg of the pick 6 is the World Sports Betting Magnolia handicap over 1,160 meters, running soft going, full field of 16 runners to face the starter. Many of the horses stepping back in trip, many of them looking for perhaps slightly further. It's a bit of a nightmare start of the pick 6, to be quite frank. Big Burn is the early favorite at 33-10, no doubting her talent. But is this 1160 too short for her? Sheila is the second favorite at 7-2, probably better over this sort of trip, so she may be the one to beat. Sound of Warning, very good form. Lucy in the Sky, Full Velocity. Are you going to play the first leg wide, or have you found a way for us to narrow this down? Will class prevail? If class prevails, it could turn out to be a match between Big Burn, Sheila, and Sound of Warning. What's your view?
I quite like the 2 Sean Terry runners in the form of Full Velocity and Sound of Warning. Full Velocity is better off at the weights with Big Burn when she was narrowly beaten by Big Burn on the 4th of September. She goes over the trip for the 3rd time, 2 tries over the course and distance for 1 win, 1 second. And the blinkers do go on, so I'm expecting Full Velocity to contest the finish, as will her stable companion Sound of Warning, who gets the services of Grant van Niekerk. And Sound of Warning has run 1/3 over the course, and I think that she should be there at the finish as well.
So perhaps the first leg of the pick 6 you could narrow down to Big Burn, purely on class. Sheila, very exciting career ahead, made a very, very good debut as a 2-year-old and had a very good 2-year-old campaign. And then, as you heard from Rahil, the 2 Sean Terry runners, Sound of Warning and Full Velocity. Maybe those 4 will be enough to get you through, but there can be no discounting the possibility that there could be an upset in the Magnolia handicap. And it's going to be interesting to see, watch the early races, if there's any track bias. The track is going to come up on the soft side. There's been a lot of rain around. Watch the early races and study perhaps what sort of, we're not going to get a chance to. I've just noticed that the first 3 races are all over 1,600 meters. So discount that last statement I made. The first glance we're going to get of the straight course at Turfentine is the Magnolia handicap, and that does complicate things. I think perhaps towards the stand side might be a little bit better. Then very quickly, race 5, just to wrap up this Turfentine preview, proudly brought to you by GTV. We're keeping a close eye on the fact that we're based in KZN. We're keeping a close eye on what's happening down in the Western Cape, what happens on the Highveld. Is the World Sports Betting Merchants over 1,160 meters. So we'll have learned something about the track in the 4th race as to what the track bias might be, but that'll be too late for the pick 6s. Very competitive handicap. Ultra Magnus, who's a horse that's very close to my heart, is the defending champion. It's certainly in his favour. He won it last year on a very wet track. It's certainly in Ultra Magnus's favour if the track comes up on the soft side, which it's almost certain to do. But Pearl of Asia, Battle Force, MK's Pride, Elysian Chief, these are the principles.
Yes, it's a very tricky sort of race in the betting merchants, world sports betting merchants. I think that Ultra Magnus could well go in once again. I just like a bit of Pearl of Asia. I think that the pace is going to be on and it's going to suit him. He has an incredible turn of foot and he'll be doing his best work at the finish.
Pearl of Asia is far better than we thought. When we went back and looked at some of his reruns before his shock win in the Mercury, perhaps it shouldn't have been as big a shock as it was. He's a genuine sort. He loves to run at them in the closing stages. So yes, the short list could be Pearl of Asia, Battle Force, MK's Pride, Ultra Magnus and Elysian Chief. But I wouldn't be shocked if Timmy Turi Run suddenly came back to his best form. I wouldn't be shocked if Spider's Corner was to carry a low weight to victory. And then there's a horse that there's a bit of talk about in the Highveld, also at big odds, that could be plenty value, about number 14, Bartholdi. That's what the local whisperers are telling me from the Highveld. But that's it. That's our preview of some of the feature races being run at Turfity tomorrow. The big headliner, of course, is the 2 million rand World Sports Betting Gauteng Summer Cup, where Got the Green Light goes head-to-head with Malmoose and War of Athena. Will the winner come from one of those three, or are we in for a bit of an upset?